Oh, the Hall of Fame has never looked better. Greg Popovich. Oh, we're not talking about that all show? Okay, sorry. Run It Back starts now.
Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up.
Yep, this is Run It Back, and Shams, I mean, we'll get to Chandler and Eddie, that's important, but Shams is coming to us live from the greatest statue of the greatest player of all time. Shams is at the United Center because he can be. I mean, do we have to explain any of it? No, we don't. Shams, good morning. Chandler, Eddie, also good morning to you guys. I mean, that might be the greatest shot ever taken. Well done, sir. Well done. All right, we're gonna get right into things.
Is it because I'm in it, Michelle, or no?
Oh, yes, I mean, is there anyone else in it? I can't tell. It's very artsy. The lighting is very nice. You've got good things happening right now. Let's talk some basketball, shall we? How about Celtics and Wizards last night? Wizards winning this one. I don't know what's going on the screen right now, so I'm just going to keep talking like I know what's going on. But here we go. Wizards won this one pretty big, 130-111. It's kind of an embarrassing loss, quite frankly, for Boston. But the Wizards didn't have Kuzma. They didn't have Beal. They just didn't have a lot of people, and they somehow won this game. Big game. But Shams, let's start with you. Kristaps, is he in for another big payday in his career?
Yeah, so I'm told that the Wizards and Kristaps Porzingis are in serious, active conversations on a potential new contract extension that would have him potentially opting out of his deal. He's eligible for a 4-year, maximum $180 million extension. They have a deadline of late June to come to an agreement on this potential extension. So he has the ability. He has a $36 million player option. He can opt out of his contract, enter free agency. But I'm told there is mutual interest in both sides on getting a deal done. And when you look at the Wizards' bigger picture, they're the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference right now. They're clearly, not really in the playoff picture. They're playing for lottery balls at this point. Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma have missed the last several games with injuries. I would not be surprised if both were essentially shut down for the rest of the season and do not play. And Porzingis has had a massive season, a rejuvenated season, an all-star caliber year. So look for him to potentially get a new deal done. And Kuzma is a guy where if he could extend, he would extend as well right now. But he's got a $12 million player option. I expect him to opt out and then potentially reach a new deal himself with the Wizards. I think there's a shared goal there. So right off the bat, I mean, I'm curious Chandler's perspective on just this Wizards team. They clearly seem to be going all in on this big three of Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps Porzingis. Even though this team is out of the playoffs, do you want to go all in with this team? Clearly, they feel like this is the direction they're going to go in.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because they're not winning. They have a great core. These three players seem to be finding something here, right? Porzingis had a great year. He's been very efficient, 50% from the field, 39 from three. He looks like the player that we thought he was going to be in Dallas with Luka. And I don't see them getting anything else, right? So why not build with this core? They kind of can do it all. Their window is now. They can mix up with some draft picks, some young guys, kind of build around these guys. I don't think that's really a destination. These three are going to draw free agents, and they're going to be like a contender anytime soon. But they're going to be able to compete, and these three guys have shown that they can have big games. They can impact winning, and they all deserve a big payday. And I think they're going to get it. But this game last night, it just shows you, man, how weird the NBA is. This Wizards team, shorthanded, has no business beating the Boston Celtics last night, and it happens. And there's really no easy nights. There's no off nights. And Porzingis last night, he looked like an all-star. He looked like a guy that deserves a big contract extension. He's still young. He still has plenty of years left to play. So he deserves it. Kuzma deserves it. Brad Beal has, he's been in and out of the lineup. But he's one of my favorite players. He's a two-way player. He can shoot the ball. He can score. So I like their core. It's just the Eastern Conference is so deep, man. Like I don't see them winning with this core, but I like them kind of sticking together.
I'm with Chandler. I get these three guys as individuals, but you're giving Kristaps Porzingis his second max contract of his career. You have Brad Beal and a supermax already. So what is your flexibility going forward? Their draft picks are all over the place going forward as well. So you're buying into that trio and good players on their own in a vacuum. But when you look at the Eastern Conference, the Knicks are getting better and have a ton of flexibility. The Sixers are what they are. The Celtics have their future pretty much tied up behind two superstars. The Bucks have maybe the best player in the league. And then you even look at the Nets, the Cavs, these other teams. They have bright futures. They have young stud players, all-stars that they're building around, and a ton of flexibility going forward. On top of that, you then add on top of that, are they going to eclipse any of those teams? Like, I'm not exactly understanding what's going on here, but I guess retain your guys. That's the best you can do for now and go forward. But at their best this year, they hovered around a 500 team. We're signing up for 5 years of that. It's a little confusing, but I guess you're signing your guys and you're keeping your guys and you're seeing if you can grow from there. They don't have much of a choice.
It seems sort of depressing when you put it like that, Eddie. Thank you so much. Can we talk Celtics for a moment here? Because they are obviously very much in the contending part of the season. They're supposed to be, vying for a championship, but they make a loss like this happen. How bad of a look was this for them, Eddie?
I mean, it's ugly, but this is the dog days of the season. They're pretty much set in the 2 seed. They're 7 of their last 10 right now. It's not like they're just throwing away the season. That 4-game losing streak they had is long gone. They lost a tough game to the Utah Jazz. They lost an ugly game to the Rockets. Like, the Rockets game felt uglier than this. It happens. Kristaps went off. The Wizards had a good night from the field. And, I think what you do wonder is, in the light of the Jaylen Brown stuff and him saying he doesn't care about the ovation the fans gave him and the quotes he made about Jason Tatum and Brad Stevens, you go, hey, are they having the Warriors thing? Like, are they not getting along? But again, they won 7 of their last 10. They're locked into the 2 seed. They're going to have a beneficial opening round matchup, and they're a team that just went to the finals. What I do wonder is this the reality though? Like, they got to the finals last year against 2 injured teams. They barely beat the Heat and all the issues they were having with their injuries. They barely beat the Bucks and without Chris Middleton. So do we kind of regress back to the mean? It's like, they're just a tier below those teams. I don't know. Maybe we see that in the playoffs, but I think they're fine.
Chandler, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Listen, it's 1 game at the end of the season. They have been playing pretty well. It is concerning, though. You're going on the road. You're giving up 130 points to a team that's very shorthanded, as a team that has a defensive DNA, and they just didn't look good last night. Everybody's beatable. Like, it's crazy. You look across the board. This game shows you, a couple other games last night show you that there's no freebies, right? There's no easy games, and this Boston Celtics team has been pretty consistent. They can play well together offensively. They have 2 absolute studs. They lock in defensively. They play the right way. They're coached the right way. And they still can just get dubbed by the Wizards without 2 of their best 3 players. So it just kind of shows you how good the league is, how deep the league is, and how there's no really any off nights. But I throw it away to just a bad night. Like Bill Simmons saying it's disturbed. It's a bad loss. It shows holes in your team. But this is also a game to, you watch film, you go from this, you clean up mistakes, and you don't let this kind of trickle into the next game, and they move on. They're a great team. They're a contending team. This is just a blip on the radar. End of the game season. No one got up for it. Everyone probably took them lightly. Kuz out, Beal out. No way they thought this was going to happen. It happened, and it's just a game. You flush it and you move on.
Yeah, every time I watch the Celtics, really the second half after the All-Star break, it's like they're waiting for just the playoffs to start. They don't have a championship hangover because they didn't win the championship last year. But you can just tell this team is built, it's driven to go and try to redeem themselves after losing in the finals. And we've seen Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown has stepped up his play the second half. Jason Tatum, he had a rough February. He won All-Star Game MVP, and he's been up and down at different points second half of the season. But I think him, Jaylen Brown, they're going to be ready once the playoffs start. And I do think I don't have worry of this team turning it on, because I think they're really readying and preparing for the playoffs.
Also, I'm wondering if Jaylen Brown's trying out for his next team next season. That'll be fun to watch, wouldn't it? Can we talk a little Pelicans Warriors for a second? Because that game had just about every emotion you could possibly want out of a game. The Warriors somehow win this one. But they probably shouldn't have. The Pelicans were leading this thing by, nearly 20 at the half. And then Golden State comes out and drops 39 in the third quarter, 8 of 18 from 3. It got ugly. Steph Curry with 39 points. Some of those were a little bit nuts. 8 of 15 from 3. Chandler, this Warriors team could not have multiple personalities. I don't even know what to ask you about this game. What is the deal?
I mean, this just shows you when you have a lead against normal teams, it's safer than a lead against the Warriors. The way they shoot the ball, the way they can shoot the three. Being down 15 is like being down 6. Like these guys shoot at a crazy clip. The game is never over till the buzzer goes off. And this third quarter was a perfect example of that, where they took their foot off the gas. They thought this game was over, and these guys just went absolute berserk in the third quarter. And this is why they're so tough to beat. They know each other. They have a system. They move without the ball better than I've pretty much ever seen in my life with a team. They can hurt you in many different ways, and they can lock in and play some really good defense when it matters. So these are why they're the champs, right? This is why no one wants to play them. This is why they're impossible to defend. They have so many actions. They're constantly moving. You can't double team anybody because there's so many shooters around. And this was a perfect example of why you don't want to see this team. The healthier they get, Andrew Wiggins comes back, it's just another asset. And this is an extremely dangerous team come playoff time.
They look like a team that's warming up. And I thought about this the other night with the Timberwolves and then that great game that was. And the Timberwolves squeaked that out on a crazy play and a great shot. But they look like a team that's charging themselves up. We had the stuff with Draymond and Ingram in the first half, and he's going to get suspended for that. But you have that entire situation, and you just have this tension about that team. And you can feel it in their arena, and you can see it in just kind of the angry way they're playing. And then in that third quarter, they're charged up. They come out of the half, and they're charged up. They held the Pelicans to less than 43% from the field in the second half. So, yes, they went crazy. Clay, Jordan Poole, Steph, they had a barrage in that third quarter, but they defended. They went to a box and won. They went to trapping Brandon Ingram, and the Pelicans just could not get good shots late in that game. And you can just feel it. The Warriors are taking this game over. This feels like a playoff game. There's this tension all over the court, and they thrive in that. So, like, I'm starting to feel like every day we flip-flop on them, but I'm starting to feel like this is a team that's getting themselves jacked up for the playoffs. They're getting ready, and they look like it yesterday. It looked incredible. This is why they're dangerous, the most dangerous team in the league. That's why they're the champs. And it's scary. And if they get Wiggins back, maybe they might look like the best team in the league for last week of the season going into the playoffs. And it's like, how did we get here? How did we spend all season getting here? That was game 77 last night. So it's been a journey.
This would be the weirdest trick played on all of us if somehow Golden State just comes out and dominates the playoffs. Eddie, I got to stick with you on this one because you're a man who is not easily impressed. I think that's fair to say. So this is the Steph pass, and I want you to compare it to the Luka pass that you were obviously not feeling that we showed yesterday. So go on.
It was better. I'm so happy this is being brought up. This was a better pass. I want the world to know this is better. Offhand, crunch time in the game. He's cornered. He led the guy. He led a guy who was covered against a good defender. Watch Steve Kerr. If you get a chance to watch Steve Kerr. He cannot believe Steph made that pass. It's further. It's against tighter defense. Look, CJ McCollum, he's no Tony Allen, but that's not TJ McConnell. And Steph is smaller. Like, I couldn't believe he made this pass. This is the most impressive play of the game. Thank you for asking me. Much better than the Luka pass.
I don't know if it's good that I asked you or not, Chandler.
It wasn't.
That's
better.
nasty, though.
It wasn't even close to being better in my opinion. Honestly, I get. But if Klay Thompson doesn't make a 35-footer, we're not even showing this pass. So he hit a crazy shot. He was deep. Listen, I love that it was left hand. They were up 10. The game was pretty much over at this point, if I'm being honest. And it was a very impressive pass. But the fact that Luka's getting double teamed, had to keep it under the hoop, slingshot it over. I'm going with the Luka pass all day long. But the fact that it was left-handed gives him a little credit. But the Luka pass was great.
Just love how much Eddie hated the Luka pass. It's just the weirdest thing that happened. He hated it. Like, it was ugly and offensive to him. Draymond last night was just absolute classic Draymond. If you love him, you loved him last night. If you hate him, it was a long night. He had 8 and 6 and 12 assists and 2 steals, but who cares? Because he also had a technical after an altercation with Brandon Ingram. It is his 17th tech of the season. Shams, remind the kids what happens next.
Yeah, if he has one more technical foul, he gets a suspension, a 1-game suspension. But I don't know if you guys saw on Instagram, he actually used my post and said he loves Luka. but he thought, essentially it was a joke that that Luka's 18 technical foul got rescinded. But Draymond, we'll see what happens with him if he ends up getting suspended. We saw Dylan Brooks, his didn't get rescinded. So Draymond Green keeps finding himself in this position where he's so close to getting suspended once again. And honestly, last night, he looked several times like he was going to get another technical foul. But you saw what Steve Kerr said after the game. His aggressiveness, his tone, the way he's so passionate, the energy that he brings. Yes, it can be a curse at times, but most often than not, due to his skill, his IQ, it's usually a benefit for the Warriors, and last night it was.
Yeah, a couple of things on this. First of all, we know Brandon Ingram doesn't just talk; he throws punches, right? So this wasn't one of those things where we know from before with the Chris Paul thing. Brandon Ingram is with it, and he will fight. And again, this wasn't a basketball play, right? Like, he didn't even swipe at the ball. He didn't even attempt to steal the ball. He just kind of bumped him and then he got it. But this is the type of stuff where Draymond Green, that he does, and he's very smart, right? And he's very good defensively. And this is his value. He's a better Patrick Beverley. He knows his role, but you can't be confused that this is a technical foul, right? You bump into a guy, there's an altercation. That is a full-blown. I'm surprised they didn't even call that a flagrant foul, because it's not trying to get the ball. And this is the situation that they find themselves in, like a Dylan Brooks, like Luka. You can't not be there for your team down the stretch right now. How tight everything is. He can't afford plays like this. I understand his fire. I understand his value. I understand everything he brings to that team. But when you get suspended now and you're not playing and they lose a game at the end of the season and they fall, whatever seed they're going to fall, now it's hurt. Now it hurts. Now it's detrimental to your team. And these are the type of things that they can't have, because he is so important to this team offensively, defensively. He knows the system in and out. He knows how to play off these guys better than he's a Hall of Famer playing off these guys. He's got to not do things like this to be on the floor and take himself out of games like this. And now he's looking at a suspension. It's no good.
I would love to know what the refs are told specifically concerning Draymond Green, because I will go to my grave. There is no other player that is allowed to act hysterical the way he does in every single, screaming how over and over again. Like there's like an unbalanced moment that he has in almost every game. And then there's Herb Jones, which I think had a couple funny moments in last night's game, one of which is him staring at him while they're trying to submit. But it's a double kick basically, or a kick. Yeah, it's like, should he have been ejected just for that? There's one game here where he could have been ejected several times. Eddie, what do you think?
I mean, he should have. I'm with Chandler. The foul on BI was cheap. It wasn't a basketball play. I'm actually shocked he didn't get a flagrant for that. I'm actually shocked he didn't get a technical for this. Like, I'm shocked he was allowed to finish his game. But here's the thing: the craziest thing, this worked. This worked. It absolutely changed the temperature of the game. It changed the way the referees called it. It changed the entire temperament of the Pelicans. It worked. He got himself into the game in a way that he wasn't. And late, he was a monster defensively. This completely changed the game. It got the crowd into it. The refs called everything tighter. CJ McCollum got a really weird, cheap flagrant in the second half as well. It just completely altered the game, and it worked. Apparently, it's exactly what he needed. It reminded me of like Billy Ho from White Men Can't Jump, when he's before the tournament and he's cussing everybody out. And Wesley Snipes like, what the hell are you doing? He said, I'm getting in my zone, man. Draymond's getting in his zone. It's kind of scary because it changed the game. And they won the game because he was able to stay in the game. But both players were absolutely cheap. And I thought he was going to get ejected, and he didn't. And I'm with you, Michelle. He has the longest leash from the referees I've ever seen in the NBA. It's ever. The way he can jump and kick and scream with a tech already, and just, it's fine. I can't believe it.
Cannot. Like, Chandler, you played like this. Have you seen anybody get away with as much as Draymond does?
I haven't. Like, if Herb Jones did that to him, I think he's tossed. And every player is officiated differently. Like, the more physical guys, they get away. You can't call every single foul, right? Draymond Green does so much stuff, and it's like you guys are saying, he's got a longer leash for whatever reason. Is you go into a game as a ref, like it's like reffing DeMarcus Cousins. You expect him to say something profound and just mean and loud and obnoxious. And if you're gonna, he gets 10 things to say, and most players get 2 or 3 before they actually get penalized. So it is It's interesting just knowing going in, like the refs probably hate reffing the Golden State Warriors because of Draymond Green, right? Because of all the, because of all the, the emotion that he shows and everything that he does. It's got to be tough, but at the same time, you can't judge off what he usually does or the game before, right? It's a clean slate every single time.
That's tough.
It's obnoxious, man. It's
So, by the way, Zach Zarba doesn't hate it because it's more camera time for Zach Zarba when you ref a Golden State game. Let's not get that twisted.
Zarba has the best hair in the game. I used to always
tell. Yes, he does. The moneymaker on Zarba. Look, this wasn't everything that happened. He even got into it with his own coaching staff. He wanted something challenged. Like, Kerr always has his back, though, and he does it in such a diplomatic, funny way to me, anyways, just knowing Kerr's personality. But the bottom line is this. This is a team that has been all over the place. We've talked about it. Your trust level, Chandler, for a guy like Draymond, and we've seen him do it. I almost feel like it's unfair to ask this question, but as we head into this postseason, you still have the utmost trust, right?
Yeah, I have trust in Steph Curry. I have trust in I have trust in Steve Kerr and this roster that they assembled, and Draymond is a critical part of that, but he's like the fifth, sixth guy I trust most on that team. But yes, he does have value. He does fire. He goes berserk at the refs. Him going, like, you can just tell now this coach doesn't like him. Like that's not like a normal interaction, right? Like that's not normal. And everyone takes it how it is because this is Draymond. He's passionate. He does this, but excuse me. It's not normal, but yeah, I still trust him because he's found this beautiful role in Golden State and he's thrived in it. And this is who he is. And he is extremely important to the team. So I trust this Warriors team going forward. And I do think they're only going to get better.
Yeah, I remember a month ago, he was like, man, I don't feel like I can hold guys accountable after I punched my teammate 3 months ago. Looks like he's holding people accountable again. Looks like he's back at it. And I trust them. They've done it. They've done it more than anybody else in this league, more than anybody not named LeBron. So how can I not trust them? And it seems like they're rounding into shape. Again, even that game they lost the other night, that was one of the more competitive games of the season I've seen. And funny enough, it was a Draymond blunder late in the game that cost them. But this stuff, like, he's doing this after every play, like every single play. I don't know if it's one of those things where you're just used to the drunk uncle and you love him. He's your handful, not everybody else's. Or it's just like, yo, we are sick of him, but we have a job and we're on TV, so we can only do so much. But whatever it is, they need him. They needed that energy last night, and it absolutely paid off for them.
I think that's what's going to make the offseason interesting, is because Draymond anywhere else, I don't think it works, but I don't know that he's wanted much longer there. So we shall see. But Shams, I do want to talk to you a little bit about the Pelicans. They should have had that one. I mean, they really should have. And all we really want to know is Zion. What's the deal with Zion? Will we see him again at all this season?
So Zion Williamson is doing more on the court. He's progressing to one-on-one, and after that, I think continue to do more contact. There's a natural progression with Zion Williamson that we've seen the last couple of years. Anytime he deals with injuries, one-on-one, two-on-two, continuing to progress in contact and having no setbacks through that, because we know this is a guy that's 6'6". Like, he's a very unique specimen. The way that he moves his body, the way that he leaps in the air, they have to make sure he's 100% physically, condition-wise when he gets back on the floor. So assuming there's no setbacks, they're going to reevaluate him next week. And then at that point, with a couple games left, you hope that he's going to be able to get cleared enough to play. But at the end of the day, time is running out. I think everything with this season is running thin. So you're going to be looking at really a 2-game window potentially. And then the play-in, do you bring him back for a game and then the play-in tournament? Do you bring him back just for the play-in tournament? Those are all questions the Pelicans are going to have to answer over the next week.
I vote yes. Does anybody care? Okay, I want to see Zion. Just even if it's one playing game, I'm fine with that. This next segment is called "What the Hell Are the Hornets Doing?" It's not sponsored, and I just named it now. But they've won 3 in a row, and they beat the Thunder at Oklahoma City. They don't have anybody. I'm not even going to run down. If you can name anybody on their starting lineup other than PJ Washington, I will give you $1 million. But PJ Washington with 43 points, and I don't know. It's like they're breaking up dreams, Eddie. Should people be concerned at all when playing the Hornets, especially if you're a team that's left playing for something?
Yeah, they have the best defensive rating in the league since the All-Star game, which is kind of insane to think about. But they've been the spoiler for the Western Conference for the last week. And I don't know, maybe Mike gave them the nice pep talk that, hey, we're selling him here pretty soon. Let's clean the car a little bit. Like let's put some sheen on the tires. But they look great. And PJ Washington is very interesting. This is somebody who a lot of fans wanted their team to give a look to at the trade deadline, and he didn't. He's obviously still there. But you see these games. This is that late season stuff. This is what happens usually when most teams are tanking. You get these weird box scores. You get these weird like Mark Madsen shooting 12 threes kind of situations. But PJ's good, and he can fill it up. So it was dope to see him have a big night. And yeah, Michael Jordan somewhere smiling, knowing that he's got a few billion on the way as these guys are rolling.
Yeah, they're clearly just a team that's playing free, right? I'm looking at this roster, Michelle. I wouldn't get that $1 million. I have no idea.
That's why I felt comfortable saying it.
I have no idea who these people are, and it just shows you. You know what's crazy? My buddies always say, "Oh, this guy in the NBA sucks. This guy sucks." I'm like, you know how good you have to be bad in the NBA? Like, it doesn't matter if you're tanking. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet. These guys are good, right? And I don't care if the team doesn't plan on winning. No team is going in the locker room saying, okay, we're losing this game tonight. That's just not happening. They're probably putting out this product of this roster of guys that they expect to lose. But on the flip side, this is why OKC is just happy to be there type of team, right? This is a team where yesterday I picked the Lakers and the Mavs because they are a better team. They have experience. This is a loss right here, and I know SGA didn't play, and they did have an extremely good game with those three guys having 30-plus points. But this is where they're growing, and they're looking towards the future, because games like this, and Hornets are playing spoiler. They just did the same thing to the Mavs, I think, twice. Anybody can beat anybody, and this is a perfect example where the Oklahoma City Thunder are in position right now to make a plan and blow out anybody's expectations out of the water. And they go and they lose to this team with a bunch of guys that we've never heard of. It shows a lot, but it really just shows you that kids aren't going to go out there. These guys on this roster, McGowans and Maladen, they're playing for their contract. They're playing for their livelihood. They have children, so they're not just going to go and lay down and get embarrassed and get punked. And they showed it last night. PJ Washington had a career game, and there's nothing sweet in the NBA. There's no gimmies. There's no easy games, especially at this point of the career where they have a long off season coming up. They have no playoff hopes. They're just out there hooping without a care in the world. So it really is crazy.
Yeah, even in a loss, I feel like we're still talking positively about OKC, and that sort of tells you everything you need to know about where the expectations are for now. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, the showdown between Donovan Mitchell and Trae Young. Not disappoint. That's next when Run It Back returns.
Run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, 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 run it up, and run it back, yeah.
Why don't we talk a little Cavs Hawks? I think this will be fun to do. This was a good one. Donovan Mitchell had 44 points, but it was not enough. No. Hawks win this one by 2. Trae Young, this is a perfect Trae Young line. 16 points, 10 assists, 6 turnovers. DeJounte Murray finished with 29. As far as the Hawks, Chandler, how much confidence does a win like this over a pretty good Cleveland team give them heading into the postseason?
It gives them confidence, and this is another young team that's kind of on the rise, and Atlanta, I feel like, should be in the same boat as this team, but they've kind of not had the best year. Expectations were high. A guy like DeJounte Murray, who's such a good talent, and when you look at this roster, they have a lot of pieces, right? I love the Sadiq Bey addition. The kid can shoot the ball. They have size. They have youth. Trae Young is a star. They're not very good defensively, but they're starting to find it, right? And they can't hurt you in many different ways. And when you look at these two teams, I don't want to play the Hawks either in the play-in, because they are very dangerous. Now they have a great coach with a great system, and Trae Young can go berserk. DeJounte Murray can go ISOs. DeAndre Hunter is one of my favorite players who I was hoping would take a big leap this year, and he hasn't done it yet. But this is a dangerous team, and this is a team that's going to be tough to beat 4 times, whether it's Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, whoever it is. This is not an easy out.
Yeah, I'm with Chandler about the play-in, and this is what makes the play-in so dangerous, is they could absolutely beat the Heat in a one-off game and be the 7th seed, and just that quickly alter the playoff landscape. I think about the same thing when I look at the Western Conference. we saw the Pelicans compete with the Warriors last night, and yes, they faltered late, and it was a very interesting game. But they could definitely beat the Lakers in a one-off game and be the 7th seed or help push the Lakers out of the playoffs. Same thing with the Wolves. Like these young teams who can hit shots from all over the place, who have these dynamic stars. It would be none of us would be shocked if Trae Young had an incredible playing game and beat one of these teams and then just put somebody out of the playoffs that quick. So they're a fascinating team to watch. They are the definition of mid. They're right back at 500 again yesterday. They keep doing the same thing, one game off. But that also means they're beating some good teams, just like they're losing to some bad teams. And they're dangerous. They're dangerous. They have 2 great young guards, and they can go with anybody. Except in the first round, if they end up with the Celtics or the Bucks, they're getting swept. They're going home. But they can absolutely beat the Heat in the play-in and kind of shake things up in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Hawks, if there's a team right now that really needs to make a playoff run, make it in, and at least see what they have, it's the Hawks, because they have a lot of decisions coming up. When you look this summer, Trae Young's future that's been discussed all year, Quinn Snyder coming in, you want to see what you have, and I know that was a big part of why the Hawks went out and hired Quinn Snyder in season, is making sure they're able to give him half of a year to really see what the group is like, what players he might like, and then you go into the offseason and you make decisions on your summer. We see John Collins, his name is in every single trade rumor for the last couple of years. Well, will Quinn Snyder like him? What does he view him as? And where do they see this going? I think that's why the playoffs is so important, especially for this Hawks team. But like Eddie said, this is a team that's been literally the one game over 500, one game under 500, then 500, then back under 500. Like every single game is a give and take. So let's see. I mean, they have an opportunity now to get over 500. Let's see if they can do it.
We talked Cavs for a second. They're in the 4 spot pretty comfortably at this point. They've clinched a playoff spot. This is the first time since '98, which of course that would have been LeBron time. So as far as what they can do in the playoffs, Chandler, what do you think their ceiling is?
You never know with the guards and the talent that they have. They can advance, and it's going to be a great series. They're locked in the 4 seed. They're not going to pretty much move up. They're not going to go down. The Knicks aren't going to catch them. And that's going to be a fun first-round series. And depending if they stay healthy and Donovan Mitchell's playing like he did last night and he can explode, the second round's going to be interesting. No matter who they draw out of those top 3 teams, they can compete. And they're so young and they're so explosive that the travel's not going to bother them. The long series is not going to bother them. And again, I think their expectations are getting out of the first round is a huge win for them this year. So even if they do get the Knicks and they advance, whatever they can get in that second round, I think is a bonus in their eyes. And again, same like the Hawks, they're a more dangerous team than the Hawks. This team can compete and they're long. And this is the one game I went to in LA this year, and it was against Cleveland. Mobley is so long. Jarrett Allen is so long. They have the defensive potential to be very, very good. Mixed with those 2 guards that can go get you a bucket whenever you want. They're a very, very good team, and I think their future is super bright. I just think they're going to run into a buzzsaw here in the second round, and it's not going to be the experience they'll get and the youth they have. It's been a very, very impressive season, and I'm hyped for JB.
It's a painful loss for them last night, though. They could have gotten within 1 game of the 76ers. They take that loss. Now they're a full 2 games back. Only a handful of games left. They could have stole the 3 seed. It was realistic with everything going on in Philly with their nagging injuries and just their kind of slide at the moment. They could have stole that seed. And I don't know how much they benefit from that. You're going from a series against the Knicks to, potentially the Heat or maybe the Hawks that we're talking about or the Nets. But they could have moved up. That's a tough loss to take. But I'm with Chandler. They're dangerous in the playoffs. They have all the makings of a good playoff team. They have the best defensive rating in the league and have for some time now. And they figured out how to defend really well, even with those 2 small guards at the point of attack. So they had those 2 bigs behind them, roaming the paint, closing out, protecting the rim all at once. They're dangerous. And when I think about them, I think about those 2 isolation scores, and that matters so much in the playoffs. And so they are dangerous. Now, would I take them against Philly? Would I take them against Boston? And that might be a little bit of a stretch, but we wouldn't be shocked if we're going into game 5 of a series and they're tied 2-2 with one of those teams. We wouldn't be shocked at all.
I haven't even put them past the Knicks yet. I feel like we're really pooping all over the Knicks in this segment. Inadvertently, by the way. I know we're not doing it on purpose, except for Eddie. I know Eddie's doing it on purpose, but the rest of us are being very unbiased. And by the way, that nugget down there, Donovan Mitchell, first player in NBA history to reach at least 10,000 points and 1,000 3-pointers. Not shocked that it's Donovan Mitchell because he's great. Just that's kind of a big deal. It felt like a big deal to me that we're not giving enough balloons to, but that's all right because we want to talk some Heat Raptors, and don't look now. Oh, Raptors. 500 again, guys. Not since December 9th have they done that. They won 3 in a row. It's another team. Like, again, it's a lot of play-in talk today, but rightfully so. You know, Chandler, do you think this Raptors team can do anything in the play-in? Shock anybody?
I actually do. This is a team kind of like Atlanta where they should have been a lot better this year than they are. And I feel like they're kind of just now starting to figure it out. And they have all these athletic bodies where they have guys that are 6'7" to 6'10" that can switch defensively. They can move their feet. They can guard 1 through 5. And then they have 2 very good players in Fred and Siakam. So I do think they're one of the better teams kind of in that lower echelon of the Eastern Conference. But you can't make this stuff up. Jimmy Butler says he's going to play hard and he's ready to play. He doesn't play last night, and he ruins our parlay. It's unbelievable how this works. But I do think the Raptors are peaking at the right time, and I think there's just like Atlanta, the bottom of the East. It's tough. Like there's nothing easy. This play-in, I love the play-in too. I think it's exciting. I think it gives everyone a chance, and I think the best team will come out of that and be the 7 and 8 seed, and I think Toronto is going to be right there for either of those.
Yeah, Toronto's dangerous, and you look back at the trade deadline, everybody was just sure that Pascal Siakam would be on the move, that OG Anunoby would be on the move, that Fred VanVleet would be on the move. And they decided to stand pat. They decided that the picks that were being offered weren't enough. And whatever this mystery haul they were asking for OG with 3 unprotected firsts and another guy, they weren't getting that. And so they decided to stand pat. And yeah, they've won 3 straight. This is a proven playoff team. We've seen them do this before. Now, even with 3 straight, they're in the 9 seed and they got some work to do. But a dangerous team for sure. Can they win a series? I wouldn't take them to beat any of the big teams up top, and that's who they'd be playing. But it is a little scary to see them right the ship. And then you got to wonder going into the summer, okay, now what? Because we dangled all these guys out there. We were willing to get rid of them. Now what do we do going forward? Are we going to do the reset? Are we going to cobble pieces together? And who knows? But they looked great last night. And like Chandler said, maybe Jimmy's waiting until April. Maybe that's what it was. It's like April is going to take it serious, and then they're going to start winning games. Yeah.
Almost there, Jimmy. Almost there, Shams.
I will say, looking at these 4 teams in the play-in: Chicago, Toronto, Atlanta, Miami. Like, I don't know who's going to come out. That is going to be a really, really fun play-in.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's not a bad plan. Good ratings, I would imagine. Shams, you're in Chicago. What do you have for us on this Toronto squad?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually push back a little bit on Eddie. I'm gonna speak up for Michelle right now. Jakob Poeltl, they made the move to go get Jakob Poeltl at the trade deadline. That was their big move. Everyone was like, yo, what is Masai gonna do? Is he gonna trade OG Anunoby? Is he gonna trade Pascal Siakam? And he goes all in on this team with Nick Nurse and goes and gets a center. They've really needed a center for the last several years. Ever since they traded Jakob Poeltl with DeMar DeRozan in 2019, they've needed a guy in the middle. They went out and got him. They're 12-8 in the 20 games that Jakob Poeltl has played this year, and he's been a difference maker for them. And this is a team that was under 500. Now they're back over 500, and I think you can look at Jakob Poeltl being a major reason why. And when you look into the summer, free agency, this is a guy that's going to get, I think, in the range of $20 million, if not more, per season in a new contract. So Jakob Poeltl has been a difference maker. They did not stand pat, Eddie. They made a move. Shout out Michelle. Shout out the Spurs.
By the way, March 29th, 2023, the day Jakob Poeltl is now known as the Savior, is probably going to go down as one of my favorite historic moments in NBA history. Who saw it coming? But the Miami Heat, yeah, we've mocked Jimmy Butler, and then he doesn't play. But they're also seemingly doing poorly at the worst possible time. Back-to-back losses, Chandler. This Heat squad, does it feel like they're going opposite direction and at the worst time now?
It does a little bit, but they're my East Coast Warriors. They're like a team for whatever reason I trust, and I think they're going to figure it out. And I think they're very good offensively. They're very good defensively. They have the roster to actually be a championship contending team. They're just not, for whatever reason, putting it together this year. And obviously Jimmy is a huge piece of that. Him saying he's not trying hard and playing and then not playing. They need him in the lineup. They're not a contender without him. But I do think this team has the roster to compete this year and not just get out of the play and not just win the first round. This is a difficult matchup for one of those top 3 teams in the East, whether it's Boston, Milwaukee, or Philly. I think Miami is the most dangerous team just because of their experience. They have vets. They're tough. They defend. They have shooting. I love Strus. I love Tyler Hero. They can really shoot the ball. They can space you out. They can go on. They can go ISO. And they defend. So I think they are probably the best position out of those teams. But like I just said, that play in there, it could go either way. All four of the teams deserve to be in the playoffs.
Exactly what the play-in should look like. It's going to be good. Shams is sticking around from Chicago. He's going to have a big-time preview on the Lakers-Bulls game for tonight, or as I like to call it, the Pat Beverly Show, when Run It Back returns.
Run it back, yeah. Run it up. The running back, yeah. Run it up, run it back.
And it's happening tonight. Lakers Bulls. Shams is on the ground there, right in front of the GOAT statue. You know what? Before we get to the game, Shams, what's the vibe there? You feeling anything yet?
No, I'm not feeling a thing, Michelle, but I know I will be soon. I think when you look at this game, though, like the Bulls have a 2.5 game lead in the play-in tournament race. Like they're pretty secure. The Wizards, like we just discussed, they're a team that's directly underneath them at 11th, and they're clearly going on a path where Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma could get shut down. So the Bulls are good in the play-in tournament race. But when you look at the Lakers, every game matters, and they've got more at stake tonight, and really for the next several games than the Bulls do, just for the simple fact they're half a game out of the play-in tournament race. They're also equally, whether it's a game and a half, depending on the moment, out of potentially getting into the playoffs outright. So every game matters for the Lakers. LeBron James is questionable tonight. We'll see if he plays. I assume as long as that foot is feeling fine, we'll see what happens in pregame warmups. But the big news for the Lakers is after missing a game, D'Angelo Russell will be back in the lineup tonight. He's listed as probable.
All right, Chandler, you heard Shams. Who is this a bigger game for, Lakers or Bulls?
The Lakers, no question. And like Shams just said, the Bulls are pretty comfy right now. Like they're going to get in the play-in. The Lakers, it's so jumbled up with every game. With Oklahoma City losing last night, they have a chance right now to kind of make even more of a jump. And looking at their schedule, the Bulls, Timberwolves, Rockets, Jazz, they have a lot of winnable games. So the good thing for them is they control their own destiny. And it starts tonight. This team just beat you. You know Pat Bev is going to get them fired up. You know Pat wants to kind of spoil their season. So this isn't going to be easy. And the Bulls at the same time, they are comfortable with, they're not just going to lay down. They want to continue to progress. They want to continue to get better. So it's an exciting game. It's crazy how the schedule worked out, how they're both kind of fighting for their livelihood here in the play-in. But to me, it's the Lakers. They need every single win going forward.
Yeah, it's the Lakers for sure. I mean, like you guys mentioned, the Bulls are kind of set in the 10 seed. They're not catching Toronto. The Wizards aren't really trying to catch them, so they're good. They're going to play a play-in game, and they have a chance to get into the playoffs. But the Lakers, they need this. It's a logjam there. They could potentially still fall out with the Mavericks still there making a run. And so it's huge for them. They just lost to this team. They're now finally going to be fully healthy, as Shams just said. Everybody but Mo Bamba. You got Bron flying in from Houston after watching Bronny light it up last night. Look like a stud at the McDonald's All-American game. So I'm expecting some fireworks. I'm a little jealous Shams is there. But, check out Shams. They opened up the whole arena for this guy. Look at the pool he has in his town. I like that, Shams.
Right? It's not just like some random place. It's like this beautifully lit United
Shout out
Center.
FanDuel TV.
It's pretty good. Look, the best part of tonight's game, I think, for a lot of us is Pat. It's going to be Pat Beverly. Like, if he pulls the antics off that he did in Los Angeles, what is he going to do at home in front of the hometown crowd, Chandler? I want props. I want everything. I want pyro. Like, let's do this.
Listen, this is what he lives for. He's made it very, very clear that he wants to spoil the season. He wants to hurt them. He didn't enjoy his time there. God knows what he's going to do, but he's going to be market at Chicago tonight.
Look at what we're doing. Like, he's already won. This is a game with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. And who's the story of this game? Whose name is on the Chiron right below me? Pat Beverly. Look at this. He's killing it.
The man should be on there. I know. I love it so much. I love that you're going to be in the building for it all, Shams, because I don't know who's in a better spot today. If it's Shams in Chicago for this game or Eddie in Phoenix for the other game. Should we talk the other game? Let's talk
Two
the other
massive games. Two massive games.
I know. It's like we have like so much going on, insider stuff going on. All right. So yeah, it's Minnesota in Phoenix, and KD expected again to make his Suns home debut. Fingers crossed, nothing better happen. Look, they have time, right? And it is KD. As far as chemistry concerns, Eduardo, I'm going to go to you first, of course. You're an insider on this one. Any concerns at all that there's not enough time to build chemistry, or zero concerns?
Some concern. I mean, I think chemistry amongst the guys, it's a good group. They're enjoying each other. They're having fun. The continuity on the court that they're going to need to make some of these things happen, that they still need. They need this week of games. They need this handful of games. And the crazy part about it is they absolutely need this game. If they lose to the Timberwolves can climb as close as a half a game behind them. The Warriors are right there behind them. The standings are so jumbled. They need this game. They need the Denver game. They need every game, really. If they don't want to fall out the 4th seed, they have to win this game. Huge game. And the Timberwolves are coming locked and loaded. Cat is back. Anthony Edwards is the ankle's getting better every day. It's going to be a huge game tonight.
Yeah, Eddie nailed it. This is such a big game with the seedings and everything. It's super tight. And I do think 7 games is enough. And I do think these are a hard 7 games, and they're going to be playoff atmospheres, and it means a lot. And a guy like Kevin Durant, it does take time to kind of work him in, right? They need to figure out their options offensively, defensively, who's going to get the ball and what scenarios. And I think this next 2 weeks is huge for them, and it's kind of perfect timing. But it's a good problem to have. Anytime you can plug one of the best players of all time into your lineup with going into the playoffs healthy, it's perfect for them. And with this team at full strength is extremely dangerous and one of the better teams in the league. And it starts tonight, and this is a big one. Both teams playing very, very well, and the Suns got their guy back in the lineup tonight. So this will be the game I'm dialed into tonight.
This is going to be a big game, but I think these last 7 games are so massive for the Suns to get chemistry with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant on the floor. I saw them in Chicago. They looked lethal together. They played only 3 games together. You want to see them get game reps in. Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, all healthy. This is the juncture of the season. 7 games, a lot riding on it. They have to get chemistry because you don't want to go into the postseason cold and not having that camaraderie and that chemistry on the court. So tonight's the start of that, 7 games. Eddie will be there. So, Eddie, how pumped are you for the game, though? Like, are you – I know you've been to a lot of, games before, but how pumped are you tonight?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. The trip worked out timing-wise. My last trip, Kevin was, things happened, and here we are. I'm excited. I mean, I think it's technically still a game-time decision, so not here to break any news, but that was Kevin yelling at me about the charger I stole, and I had to run back up the stairs during the break. So, we're getting ready, man. We're getting ready. It's a big day.
He's fine. He's fine. Just whatever you got to do. He's fine. Shams, have so much fun tonight. Can't wait to hear all about it. We'll check you out on Twitter, of course, and we'll see you, Monday. My goodness, it is Wednesday, isn't it? All right, we'll see you Monday morning, bright and early. We will take a quick break. When we come back, let's make some cash, y'all. Get rich. And Run It Back returns.
Run it back, yeah. Run it up. The run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back.
FanDuel Casino's March weekly Super Sweeps is here, and you can win a share of $300,000 each week from March 14th through April 2nd. Every Tuesday through Saturday, opt in, and any bet of $200 or more gets you an entry to that Sunday's sweepstakes drawing. See FanDuel Casino for more details on how you can enter the March weekly Super Sweeps. Well, you want to talk about what we did last night, guys? Wow, we are bad at this. We are so bad at this. It is now comical. Not one of us got a leg of the parlay correct last night. So that can only mean one thing and one thing only. We'll do it again.
Almost won.
We're just bad.
The sick part is I genuinely I like all 3 of those picks. Like those, they were no
double down. All right, Eddie, take it away. Let's try again.
I got Wolves with the points. I don't think they're going to win, but I think it's going to be a great game. So I'll take the Wolves.
Wow, good for you on that one. All right, Chandler.
I'm going the Bulls. I think Patrick Beverley and his shenanigans at home, the Shams is there. The place is going to be live. And I just think every team wants to spoil the Lakers season.
All right, I have Bucks minus 12. I just think they're going to crush Indiana. But I will say this. I might not feel great about my leg, but I feel really good about yours, guys. So take that for what it's worth. It's our Friday. We will be back on Monday. Eddie, enjoy the game. Chandler, just enjoy your life in general. And we'll see you guys next week.
Run it up, run it back, run it up.